The Hug by Tess Gallagher. Tess Gallagher was an American poet, born in 1943 in Washington. She was married 3 times. The Hug. Why do you hug? Who, when and where do you hug? Do you like hugging? Why or why not? A woman is reading a poem on the street, and another woman stops to listen. We stop too, our arms around each other. The poem is being read and listened to out here in the open. Behind us, no one is entering or leaving the houses. Suddenly a hug comes over me, and I am giving it to you, like a variable star shooting light off to make itself comfortable. A variable star is a star whose brightness changes. Here, the poet feels the energy of a hug coming over her and compares it to a star who expands and contracts, shooting out light. And this is a simile. A hug comes over me like a variable star shooting light. Then subsiding. So the star shoots out light and then it subsides, then it rests. Just like the heart shoots out the energy, I want to give someone a hug, and then when you hug someone, that energy subsides or relaxes. I finish, but keep on holding you. A man walks up to us, and we know he hasn't come out of nowhere, but if he could, he would have. He looks homeless because of how he needs. Can I have one of those, he asks you. And I feel you nod. I'm surprised. Surprised that you didn't tell him how it is. That I'm yours, only yours, etc. Exclusive as a nose to its face. The poet is surprised that her boyfriend willingly allowed the homeless man to hug her. She thought they were exclusive, that they were just not going to share each other with anyone else. The poet is very shocked. Love, that's what we're talking about. Love. That nabs you with a for me only and holds on. The poet is deeply in love, and she thought that her boyfriend loved her too. She said love is something that holds on tightly and suddenly to you. So I walk over to him and put my arms around him, and I try to give him a hug like I mean it. He has got an overcoat on so thick that I can't feel him past it. I'm starting the hug and thinking how big this hug is supposed to be. How long should I hold this hug? Already we could be eternal. It feels like eternity, the amount of time the girl spends hugging him. My hand's not meeting behind his back, he is so big. His arms falling over my shoulders, my hands not meeting behind him, he's so big. Stanza 4. I put my head into his chest and snuggle in. At this stage, the girl actually needs a hug from the homeless man because she starts to realize that her boyfriend is not as serious about her as she thought. She starts to snuggle, to cuddle up closely and comfortably with the homeless man. I lean my blood and my wishes into him. She puts all the weight of her body into this man, into this homeless man. He stands for it. This is his, and he's starting to give it back so well, I know he's getting it. This hug. He stands for it. He understands now that this girl needs a hug, and he tolerates it. He puts up with it. He's getting it. He understands exactly what's going on, how heartbroken she must feel by the fact that her boyfriend gave her away so easily. So truly and so tenderly, so softly, gently and lovingly they hug each other. We stop having arms. At this moment, both the energy of the homeless man and the girl merge together, and their energies become one. They cannot feel their arms anymore. And I don't know if my lover has walked away or what, or if the woman is still reading the poem. Or the houses. What about them? The houses. It looks like the girl and the homeless man have gone into a bubble in another dimension and are not aware of what's going on outside that bubble. Clearly, a little permission is a dangerous thing. A small amount of permission can mislead people into thinking they can do more than they really are allowed to. Here the boyfriend gave permission to the homeless man to hug his girlfriend. But because of that permission, the girlfriend suddenly realized that the boyfriend doesn't hug her the way the homeless man does, and boyfriend doesn't love her as much as she thought he did. But when you hug someone, you want it to be a masterpiece of connection, a masterpiece, something done with great mastery and skill. You want it to be a masterpiece of connection. We don't just half hug people, we put all our energy into that hug, and we want it to mean something and be a masterpiece. The way the button on his coat will leave the imprint of a planet in my cheek. So even when she walks away from this homeless man, they squeezed each other so tightly that the button on his coat has left a mark on her cheek. This button could be a metaphor or symbol for the planets in the sky, because it looks like their souls merged and went up into another dimension. And also this button could be a mark to remind her that her husband or boyfriend doesn't love her as much as she thought she did. When I walk away, when I try to find some place to go back to, by the end of the poem, the poet is completely lost. Her whole world has been turned upside down and she doesn't know where she's going anymore.